Please don't watch it alone. Like, share, and subscribe only if you dare to listen this type of stories regularly. It was one of those nights when the rain came down in heavy sheets, drumming against the windows with a steady, relentless rhythm. I had been home alone for hours, my parents having gone out for the evening to visit some friends. They wouldn't be back until late, and I had the house to myself. At first, I was fine with it. I actually liked having the house to myself. I could watch whatever I wanted on TV, make popcorn, and just relax without anyone telling me what to do. But as the night wore on, cozy feelings started to fade. The house seemed to get quieter, the shadows longer, and the rain heavier. I curled up on the couch with a blanket, trying to focus on the movie I was watching, but my mind kept wandering. Every creak of the house, every rustle of the wind outside, made me jump. I kept telling myself it was just the storm, just the old house settling, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't right. Then, the power went out. The TV blinked off, and the room was plunged into darkness. I sat there for a moment, frozen, listening to the rain hammering against the roof. The wind howled outside, rattling the windows, and somewhere in the distance, I thought I heard a low, rumbling sound like thunder. Fumbled for my phone, using its light to guide me as I got up from the couch. The soft glow of the screen was reassuring, but it didn't do much to cut through the darkness that now seemed to press in from all sides. I made my way to the kitchen, hoping to find some candles. My parents always kept a few in a drawer for just such an occasion, and I figured a little light might help calm my nerves. As I rummaged through the drawers, my fingers brushed against cold wax, and I pulled out a candle and some matches. As I struck a match, the tiny flame flared to life, casting flickering shadows across the walls. I lit the candle and placed it on the kitchen table, watching as the warm, yellow light filled the room. It wasn't much, but it was better than nothing. I took the candle with me as I walked through the house, checking the doors and windows to make sure they were all locked. I couldn't shake the feeling that someone, or something, was out there watching me. I knew it was just my imagination. That didn't make the feeling any less real. When I reached the front door, I paused, listening. The rain was still pouring down, and the wind was still howling, but underneath it all, I thought I heard something else. It was faint, almost drowned out by the storm, but it was there. A soft tapping, like knuckles rapping against wood. I held my breath, straining to hear. The tapping came again, more insistent this time. My heart began to pound in my chest, and I took a step back, gripping the candle tightly. The logical part of my mind told me it was just a branch or something being blown against the door by the wind. But another part of me, part that was now thoroughly freaked out, wasn't so sure. I stood there for what felt like an eternity, torn between wanting to open the door and see what was making the noise, and the overwhelming fear that something terrible was on the other side. Finally, I decided to look through the peephole. That way, I could see without having to actually open the door. I slowly leaned forward, my hands trembling as I brought my eye to the peephole. At first, I saw nothing, just the dark, empty porch and the rain-slicked street beyond. But then, out of the corner of my eye, I saw movement. Something was standing just off to the side, hidden in the shadows. My breath caught in my throat as I tried to make out what it was. It was tall, taller than any person should be, and it seemed to be shrouded in darkness, its features obscured by the night. I couldn't see its face, but I could feel its eyes on me, cold and unblinking. Panic surged through me, and I stumbled back from the door, nearly dropping the candle in my haste. My mind raced, trying to make sense of what I had just seen. Couldn't have been real. It had to be a trick of the light, a shadow cast by a tree or something. But deep down, I knew that wasn't true. I backed away from the door, moving toward the stairs. I needed to get to my room, to lock the door and hide under the covers like I used to do when I was a kid. Somehow, that always made me feel safe, even if it was just an illusion. As I reached the bottom of the stairs, the tapping started again, louder and more frantic this time. I could hear it clearly now, even over the storm. It wasn't just at the front door anymore. It was at the windows, the back door, even the walls, as if the entire house was surrounded by whatever was out there. I bolted up the stairs, my heart pounding in my ears. I nearly tripped in my panic, but I caught myself and kept going, not daring to look back. I slammed the door to my room shut behind me and locked it, pressing my back against the wood, as if that would somehow keep the thing outside from getting in. The tapping had followed me upstairs, and now it was right outside my window, insistent and demanding. I squeezed my eyes shut, trying to block it out, trying to convince myself that it was all in my head. But it was no use. The sound was real, and it was driving me mad. I opened my eyes and looked toward the window. The curtains were drawn, but I could see the faint outline of something standing on the other side. Something tall and thin, with long, spindly fingers that tapped against the glass in a slow, rhythmic pattern. I wanted to scream, cry for help, but I knew no one would hear me over the storm. I was alone, trapped in this nightmare, no way out. The only thing I could do was wait and hope that whatever was out there would go away. But deep down, I knew it wouldn't. It was here for me, and it wouldn't stop until it got what it wanted. The tapping grew louder, more frantic, and I could see the glass starting to crack under the pressure. I knew I didn't have much time. I grabbed my phone, my hands shaking as I dialed my parents' number. It rang once, twice, 3 times, but there was no answer. I hung up and tried again, but the result was the same. I was on my own. I backed away from the window, my eyes fixed on the growing cracks in the glass. The candle on my bedside table flickered wildly, casting eerie shadows on the walls. I could hear the thing outside, its breath rasping against the glass as it continued to tap, harder and harder. I sank to the floor, clutching my phone to my chest as the glass finally gave way with a loud, shattering crash. I didn't have the strength to move, to run. All I could do was sit there, trembling, as the thing outside slowly climbed through the broken window and into my room. It stood there for a moment, its tall, thin frame silhouetted against the night. I could see its eyes now, glowing faintly in the darkness, and they were fixed on me with a hunger that sent a wave of cold terror through my body. I wanted to scream, to run, to do anything, but I was paralyzed with fear. The thing moved toward me, its footsteps slow and deliberate, each one bringing it closer and closer. The rain outside seemed to intensify, the wind howling louder as if it were trying to drown out the inevitable. Just as it reached out toward me, my phone rang, the sound piercing through the silence like a knife. I glanced down at the screen, seeing my parents' number flashing back at me. With a trembling hand, I answered the call, bringing the phone to my ear. "Hello," I whispered, my voice barely audible over the storm. There was a pause, and then my mother's voice came through, calm and reassuring. "We're on our way home, sweetheart. Everything's going to be okay. Just stay where you are." I looked up. The thing was gone. The window was whole again, the room silent except for the sound of the rain and my own ragged breathing. I didn't move from that spot until I heard the front door open and my parents' voices calling out to me. When they found me, I was still clutching the phone, tears streaming down my face. They wrapped me in their arms, comforting me, telling me it was all just a bad dream. But I knew the truth. The thing in the window had been real, and it was still out there, waiting for the next time I was alone.